The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here! Ready for action! I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is the Angry Chicken.
Greetings and welcome back, everyone. This is Tech. I'm Garrett, joined as always by Jocelyn, but not as always by first-time guest on the Angry Chicken, Slissa. Welcome, Slissa.
Thank you. Hello.
Thanks for stopping by the show. We're stoked to have you on. Also, it's pretty rare we get to confirm people early enough ahead of time that we get to announce you coming on in the previous episode. So there's actually like hope for this episode. So
That's exciting.
thank you for being organized.
Of course.
So this episode, originally we thought we were going to do a bit of like a checking in on post 1 week new Battlegrounds meta, and we would get to have all this room to like stretch and really just like chew the Hearthstone fat with you, Slissa. But then they dropped patch notes on us. So today's show is packed. We have so much Hearthstone to talk about.
Yes, it's all changing.
Constantly.
Yes.
Gone are the like 2018 Hearthstone where you might get 2 balance patches in the year.
I was going to say, where we'd be talking about the same thing for like 4 months, trying to eke out some new insight.
Oh, I didn't think of that. I was like the super casual back then. The epitome of a casual Hearthstone player was me from like 2016 to maybe 2015 to 17. So I never noticed those things back then. But now
so what made you like switch over to taking Hearthstone a little bit more competitively, seriously, however you want to phrase it?
I was introduced to Ali Straza's stream and I just like adored her and wanted to be her.
I know those feels.
I'm like, oh, I want to do that and I want to be as good as her. And so she was kind of my inspiration to get going and trying and streaming.
That's how I got into podcasting, except it was like older white dudes.
Not Allie?
Twitch wasn't around when I started podcasting, let alone Allie's stream. So no, unfortunately I can't claim that. But well, we're so stoked to have you here, Slissa. We have so much Hearthstone to talk about. Before we hit that news bumper and we actually start talking about the headlines, we do want to thank everyone supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC and our most recent patrons. Thank you so much to Stephen King. I believe not that Stephen King, but still Stephen King.
But
Brad
maybe
King.
it could be, and that's exciting.
It could be. Jim Griffin and Torby Flenderson, thank you so very, very much for supporting the show. Patreon.com/TAC. Go check it out. But let's get right into this week's Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
Demon Hunter is getting nerfed if you're not in Wild. Again, I guess is the headline on this. But
Not in Wild. Oh, is it because of Odd?
Yeah. I've heard from some Wild players today that are not stoked about this change, specifically because of Odd Demon Hunter in Wild. So I'm going to put an asterisk next to Nerfed as we talk about the change to Twin Slice that was just announced today as of recording this podcast and will be hitting the game tomorrow. If you're listening to this in the future, it landed on June 18th. Twin Slice is going up to 1 mana, but will also give 1 more attack. And on top of this second slice, same exact thing is happening. It's going from 0 to 1 mana, and again, +2 attack instead of +1 attack.
Hooray! I don't know if you noticed, Garrett, but I put a whole bunch of party smiley faces in the notes with this news because
I'm looking right at them.
Keep nerfing it. Just send it right down, stomp it in the ground. Let's go.
if anyone has listened to the show in the last 2 months, I don't think anyone is even close to unclear on where you stand on Demon Hunter.
They're
Let me
the
guess.
worst.
It's your favorite class.
Oh, totally. In fact,
wins.
let's just make twin slice 2 mana and call it a day.
I mean, it is if you're casting both copies.
No, like 2 each.
The way the card positioned after using it.
I think that's the same, and I think they said that they did that on purpose.
They're like, oh, I don't love that. I don't love the way all other twin spells, it falls in the same part of your hand. And on this twin spell, it goes to the far right. I don't think that's fair,
I think they did it on purpose because because of the way that Demon Hunter works and because they make use of Outcast, they were like, oh, well, yeah, their twin spells can just go to the edge. It's like,
but then like Luna's mage could not take advantage of that for cycling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
It's a little grumbly, especially when it's something that can be abused in a combo setting. I don't know. Altruist, you know.
Yeah.
Happens.
Oh, God.
But at least now it costs mana, so it's going to be harder for them to fit so much into one turn. So, I mean, I guess it's okay.
Well, yes, the altruist turns that would really tilt me when they got to go off with all 4 twin slices is now going to cost them 4 mana as opposed to no mana.
Yeah.
But even for less extreme examples, just getting to whatever the case is, at least now there is a mana cost associated with casting this. As someone who has spent a decent amount of time on this very podcast complaining about altruist combos, I'm really happy about this.
Agreed.
So
Like I don't care.
Nice. So, like, do you have a strong pro or negative reaction to Demon Hunter, Slissa?
Not really. No, I think it's nice that they're introducing new things like new classes, I guess. Though I could see frustration in facing it because I've always hated aggro decks. Like I've hated all aggro decks, so it just falls into the category of what I hate. But I don't want to just judge Demon Hunter. I just hate aggro, and I think everyone hates what counters what they love. So I, for instance, love combo decks. What kills combo? Aggro. Therefore, I hate aggro. And so people who like aggro will always hate control decks because it counters them, and it's just kind of the cycle.
We've only had
falls into that category.
We've only really had 2 Yogg cards, but I guess that's what I hate.
So you hate random into random, as came up this week on Twitter, the double random, multi random that I think Saddle brought that up. People don't like that.
It's been yes. Saddle's been waging a little bit of a war against Puzzlebox, and I for one support Saddle's war against Puzzlebox.
You anti-fun? That's just anti-fun.
Right? I'm pro winning due to skill. That's what I am.
We'll play chess then. I don't know.
Oh my God, so this is my favorite. Never leave the show ever.
Oh, it's great. It's great. I mean,
but there has to be a balance between fun and skill, obviously.
And I think they thought that they were hitting that with Puzzlebox because it's got the whole like consistency thing, and you have to know when to cast it, as opposed to like Yogg himself that, you know, could sometimes kill himself, or you had to set up with spells and everything else. Like, I think they thought that they were walking that line between having something big and crazy and bomb-like and fun, but they just went maybe a little bit too far because you can cheat it out. Like, there's so many ways to not actually pay that 10 mana for it and make it your whole turn. So I think that's probably where they went a step too far into the fun camp.
Yeah. If you think about it also, it's been different based on the meta. So back when I was competing, when I was in Korea, it was very contested whether or not you even put Puzzlebox into your mage. Mage was huge back then because Luna's Pocket Galaxy cost 5. And so everyone brought mage, or not everyone. I think at least 60% brought it. It was still specialist format. Mm-hmm. And And I did not put Puzzle Box in my deck because I thought it was awful. Because at the time it was bad. I beat opponents who used it because they ruined their board or whatever. But back then the spells just weren't as powerful. So it's like a whole different thing. But I can see it now with certain spells. like the one that gives you 2, 3, 6 water elementals or something like that, you know? So it's very different.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So in the patch that was announced today, the Demon Hunter changes to Twin Slice were the only constructed changes of note. Everything else is Battlegrounds, which we will get to in our Battlegrounds segment. But before we move into that, we also have Masters Tour to discuss. Nelson, did you catch a lot of this over this weekend? Because I sadly did not.
I did. Well, I did catch some. So I think I ended up catching the final day. So I caught a lot of the top 8 games, and they were very reminiscent of everything that we've seen in Grandmasters. Nothing really changed all that much. The meta was kind of the same. It was like, you know, you bring Warrior, you bring Demon Hunter, and then, you know, what are your last 2 decks sort of thing. There was lots of, you know, druids, and yeah, it was a really samey compared to what we'd seen in Grandmasters, but it was also the biggest Masters tour we've ever had. So there were 348 players, which is absolutely mind blowing. And I think this is, again, because they're able to hold or I guess not able to, but they are hosting everything online because of COVID, right? So nobody can travel. So we're doing everything online, which makes it much, much more accessible for a lot of players. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think I actually kind of like having the Masters tours online. Like, I know it takes away the social part of, you know, going to a DreamHack or, you know, seeing all of your friends, which you only get to do at these big events. And it's a really big deal from that perspective, but I think the accessibility has really opened it up to a lot of different players being able to do all this stuff online. So I think it's probably a good thing. I hope it stays this way because a lot of people are getting chances that they wouldn't otherwise have.
It'd be nice if they still had more tournaments that were land-based, just for fun, kind of like they used to do at DreamHacks, though I just know it's a lot harder to do nowadays due to licensing and whatnot, unfortunately, which I wish they would change, but
yeah. So I agree with you. I wish that they would have like a couple of events a year, and then like, even if it was like run by Blizzard and it was the Grandmaster finals or something, and they did those in a couple of different places, but if they just kept Masters Tour online to keep it accessible to people and let us actually see like the best of what Hearthstone has to offer, I think that would be really, really good for the scene. So I don't know. I mean, I think it was great. Like I said, the actual gameplay was very reminiscent of a lot of what we've seen in Grandmasters for a while. So it wasn't too exciting. But we did see Warma come out on top and also earn a spot in Grandmasters, which nothing against. I feel like I need to preface this whole entire conversation with like nothing against the people who made it into Grandmasters, but because basically Warma made it into Grandmasters, huzzah, yay. But the problem with this is it really has highlighted that winning a Masters Tour essentially equates to a spot in Grandmasters, and that may or may not be a good thing. There's a lot of names on the list of people who made it into Grandmasters who I don't want to say high rolled their way through a tournament because that's
consistent than dead drop.
Yes, exactly. And that was yeah, that like because of the way Grandmasters is decided, which if you guys aren't aware is based on how much prize money you earn in the Masters Tour, which sounds fine on the surface, except for there's such a big jump even from second to first place in terms of how much money you're awarded, which I think they probably do in order to kind of up the excitement and the stakes and stuff.
They definitely do though.
Yeah, but the kind of result of that is if you win a Masters Tour, you're basically guaranteed to make it into Grandmasters unless someone in your region happens to come second in three Masters Tours, right? Which doesn't usually happen. So it means that someone like the name that's been coming up so much in this conversation has been Deaddraw, who actually posted a twit longer. We've linked it in the show notes if you guys are interested. He had 3 top 8 Masters Tour finishes and finished with a win percentage over 70% in his Masters Tours. He is the most winningest player in all the Masters Tours, above all of the other Grandmasters.
Even last year he was insane and barely missed it again, you know?
Yeah, this is the second like promotion that he's barely missed. So he's very, 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 very consistent, and a lot of even Grandmasters were kind of speaking out on his behalf. Again, like nothing against the people who did get promoted into Grandmasters, but it seems like there's something wrong with the system when someone who has a 70% win percentage across all Masters Tours is somehow not making it into Grandmasters. That is an insane amount of consistency.
We've changed the format so many damn times. Like I can understand desire not to want to change things too much, but like it really feels like we should just have a points-based system that's not so directly tied to prize money.
Yeah, I think prize money is the problem, and I don't think that changing the way they decide who gets promoted needs to change the entire system. Like I think Masters Tour, with all of the qualifiers being online and the way things have kind of shaken out with all of that, seems to be working fairly well. I think Grandmasters is in a pretty good spot now. I really liked the 3 weeks of Swiss heading into a round robin and the seeding and everything else. That felt a whole lot more fair than competition did in 2019. Plus, you know, obviously with the relegations and the promotions, we're getting a lot more competitive players. So I really think that they've got the general esport in a good place. I just want to see people who can show that they are amazing Hearthstone players. Even if they don't win a Masters Tour, I think that those people should also be rewarded. Now, if that means that they give like 1 spot for prize money, 1 spot for win percentage, and excuse me, 1 spot for, I don't know, something else, points, like whatever, you know, like just reward in different ways than just straight up like who's won a Masters Tour. Okay, yeah, you get to be in Grandmasters, because Grandmasters is, and a lot of people who are in Grandmasters have said that this is kind of the be all end all when it comes to Hearthstone competition, because this is how you be a pro Hearthstone player. And, you know, by putting up too many barriers into that and not having enough movement in the system is what we were talking about last year, as people were saying, you know, oh, if I get relegated, that's the end of my Hearthstone career. Like that's a pretty huge statement. And I think we've kind of fixed that a little bit by adding more mobility. So I think players feel like they can play their way back in. But then you see someone like Deaddraw with this crazy win percentage, and you're just like, man, can I actually play my way back in if I don't win a tour? Like, that's crazy. I think there's a conversation to be had here that doesn't need to revamp the entire system, but maybe just needs to revamp the promotion relegation part of, well, not even the relegation, just the promotion part of Grandmasters. It's like, they're so close.
Yes, but it feels like there's a lot of different avenues or angles that need to be looked at, and like, I don't know. As we start to talk about it, because you and I had a pretty in-depth conversation about it last week, and I feel like this could become another easy 20-minute conversation about directions that could take the esport. Like, I think it could get relatively complicated relatively quickly. But yeah, I highly recommend everybody. If you missed last week's episode, we did talk quite a bit about a desire for more outside of Grandmaster competition that maybe feeds back into Grandmasters. So go check that out. Also this week, before we move into Battlegrounds, the Trial by Fellfire solo adventure is now live. You can go play that. The first leg of the Legendary Quest is now in. I did quickly go in and knock out the first chapter just to get my packs. It's
thoughts.
It's okay. It's kind of my thoughts. It's what I expected. And this isn't the type of content that usually sets my hype on fire for Hearthstone. I don't lose my mind over fairly linear story content. It's not the type of thing that I come to Hearthstone for. And And so my reaction is that. It is exactly that. And if you like that, I think you're going to love it. And if you're like me, I think you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to get my packs and move on.
Yeah, at least it's free and you get packs, right? So
yeah, it's right. Sorry, go ahead, Slissa.
I was going to say, like, I think certain people are really into storytelling games, and if that's what you're into, then I think this is for you, right? I didn't play it, but that's my understanding of what it is. I really liked like dungeon runs and stuff like that, but I understand kind of going away from it, especially because they have teased numerous new game modes this year. So I understand kind of where they're coming from here. But yeah, it's not really my style as well, the storytelling game mode.
Yeah, it's like I like story games, but I'm more like Last of Us and that kind of stuff. I don't come to card games for my story really. But that, that being said, I don't want to take away from like the world building and the story writing staff on Team 5, because I think they do a really good job. I think they have a lot of fun within Warcraft, especially since they don't have to adhere to the same very strict lore rules that come with something like World of Warcraft. So they get to have fun with it, and it is indeed fun. It's just, again, not what I come to the game for. I'm ready for another dungeon run at this point. I'd like to see them iterate on that idea again. So this is basically a return to their really classic like solo adventures. And so if that's something you've been waiting for, you're going to love this. So yeah, it's more of a not for me than something I think is inherently not great. Like it's very well done. It's just not my jam. So, anyways, it's free and there's free packs to go get. So go get your free packs, everybody. Now, before we get to the meat of today's discussion, which is going to be Battlegrounds, we have a sponsor to thank today, and it is Harry's. They are back sponsoring this episode of The Angry Chicken. You should go to harrys.com/TAC right now and redeem your Harry's trial shave set. If you've never heard me talk about Harry's before, I'm surprised. They are literally the longest running sponsor of this program. And as you can see, I have declared open season on my beard. So I'm getting a lot of use out of my Harry's razors. I'm a big fan. I'm glad that they just show up at my door, and I have yet again one more reason not to leave my house. So it's very nice and convenient. It's just a super smooth shave. As I've mentioned in the past, they converted me from an electric razor. So you should go give them a try. So I don't know where you live. It's very warm right now. I don't want extra hair on my face. I really don't. It's too hot. It's too gross here in Florida. Which I found out before the show, Slissa, you are very aware of this because you too are in Florida.
I am in Florida. It is getting real humid outside, let me tell you.
We are earning the swamp reputation right now.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
It is very, very, very warm and very humid, as you mentioned. So go check it out, listeners of The Angry Chicken. You can redeem your Harry's trial set over at harrys.com/TAC. You're going to get a weighted ergonomic handle that gives you a nice firm grip, a 5-blade razor with lubricating strip and trimmer blade. I use the trimmer blade a ton to get rid of the weird stray hairs that grow nowhere near my beard. Rich lathering shave gel with aloe to keep your skin hydrated, and a travel blade cover to keep your razor dry and easy to grab on the go. Just go to harrys.com/TAC to start shaving better today. We thank them for their support. We thank you for going to harrys.com/TAC. And now let's get to it. This week's Battleground segment.
Have a good battle, friend.
We are getting a patch tomorrow. Last week, we had a huge Battlegrounds patch that completely upended the meta. And as of today, alongside the Demon Hunter changes that were announced for Constructed, we're getting multiple balance updates in Battlegrounds that are also landing tomorrow, kicking off with some much-needed love for some not doing so hot heroes. Let's put it that way. Starting with Lord Jaraxxus, probably the hero we use the most as the example of a bad hero. And
I thought you were going to just stop at it's the hero we use the most. I'm like, Garrett, have you been picking Jaraxxus?
No, Jocelyn. The last time I've seen Jaraxxus played was when I observed a game of yours like 3 months ago.
Yeah, I think that's probably the last time I played him.
or that, or when you sneeze and you accidentally click the wrong hero, I think is when Jaraxxus.
Or him AFK and it picks the one on the furthest left or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So Lord Jaraxxus's hero power is not changing. It's still Blood Fury. It still buffs your demons, but it's getting discounted again, all the way down to 1 gold to use this hero power.
Did this start at 3 gold? Am I remembering that wrong?
You're not remembering it wrong, but it was definitely wrong.
It was 3?
Like way back when Battlegrounds first launched. It was so expensive.
Gosh.
You're not wrong.
I wasn't a big Battleground player in the beginning, so that's fun.
Yeah, it was nuts.
You're mostly Battlegrounds now, yeah?
I'm full Battleground.
Full on, full. So cool. All right, because I have definitely felt the pull to Battlegrounds a lot. It ebbs and flows as the meta gets, a little stale in Battlegrounds. Right. But I really like it. Were you? I'm just curious. Before we move on, were you playing other auto battlers before Battlegrounds hit?
So when the first auto battlers came out, auto chess and whatnot, I was not playing them because I was focusing on Hearthstone. I take pride in trying to be the best. So when I'm not streaming, I'm studying, and so I just didn't have time. And so then when the other ones started coming out, TFT and Underlords, I really wanted to try it because I know people were super into it, but I had Masters Korea coming up. So I waited until that was done to start trying it out. And then once I did Underlords because it's mobile and I'm a mobile gamer. I actually don't play on my computer if I'm not streaming. I hate playing computer games. Not hate, that's strong. I prefer to be laying in my bed watching TV when I'm playing video games. So I was excited that Underlords was mobile, so I did play Underlords quite a bit.
So do you play Hearthstone like when you're laddering up and like practicing for tournaments and stuff? Are you playing on your phone?
Yes.
That's crazy.
You get to practice without deck tracker, which is important. So it does test that.
That would definitely force that.
So that, I'm definitely, I think I played better on my phone. I don't know why. Like I shouldn't, but I do.
Didn't win streak a little more. I think it's because when I do go to play on my phone, I'm me personally not, if I'm playing it, it's like, whatever, I just want to play some Hearthstone. I don't care if I win or lose. Let's just go. And I think I'm less stressed.
Yes, you're like not as in your head. A lot of it's mental. That's why people hit blocks at like 7K, 8K, 9K. It's a mental block, really. Because you're about to hit this hurdle and then you psych yourself out. But if you're on your phone, you're just kind of more relaxed. And
maybe I should start playing on my phone then. Because I mean, you're definitely describing now what's happened to me.
Yes.
For years on ladder, but now also in Battlegrounds. I was like this close to 7K. And then I like tanked all the way down for like 10 rounds in a row. And I was like, oh, what's wrong with me? It's like, did I suddenly get terrible? No, it's all in my head. Always has been.
A lot of it is mental. So
yeah. Well, rad. Well, getting back into the balance changes here for Battlegrounds. This change to Jaraxxus, I was like, sweet, awesome. But we're going to talk about Maleficent Manastorm in a second, and which makes Jaraxxus's powers still seem bad by comparison. But first up is Rino Jackson, who's having his hero power also reduced by 1. So gonna be rich, used to cost 3 gold. As of tomorrow, gonna cost 2 gold. I'm just pleased as punch about this. Rino is one of my favorite, like, I just want to have fun picks. I love playing Rino. Now I just want to play Rino more.
Yeah,
he was kind of like right on the edge of good, right? So, Celissa, do you think that this change is going to make a big difference in him? Or is this just because it's once per game, right? 1 extra gold.
So obviously, if you're able to hero power with him, it's insane. The problem is when there's a ton of tempo heroes, when there's a bunch of tempo heroes, that's when you can die too early. So it just depends on the meta. And the tempo heroes right now is considered like Sarlisk, but which got nerfed, which we'll talk about later, obviously. So that does change the way that the game's played. It really depends on how much tempo heroes are picked in your game, as opposed to late game heroes being picked, which would be like your Alex Strazes, stuff like that. So So it's really hard to tell because it kind of just depends on where the meta goes. Is the meta going to go more to late game or to early game? Early game like Yogg and all those heroes that you don't see as often right now because it's become a pretty high rolling meta in my opinion. I don't know.
I agree.
I'm interested. I am interested. There are different minions to hero power now. I personally love using it on my gold grubber. Find yourself 2 gold grubbers, hero power one of them, and you just got yourself some growing minions. But I'm interested in it because it is super high rolly. But again, obviously loses out to a late game or an early game meta.
Yeah, that's why I file him under fun picks. Like, how memey am I feeling? And that kind of guides me to selecting the Rino Jackson or not. But again, it's going down in cost. It's only going to help Rino. Also, I think Eudora played a pretty big role in that too. I just feel like with Eudora in the game, with like
Eudora's so good,
more consistent, multiple like cheating gold minions out. Just Eudora just seems like an infinitely more consistent Rino to me.
Yes,
so Rino needed some love, regardless of the meta, just because of Eudora is kind of where my brain went. And then finally, Maleficent, or no, not finally. Sorry, there's a fourth one. But Maleficent Mana Storm is going full circle back to her launch version, where it's now passive +1/+1 to your max, which is where she started.
Yeah, but where she started had Junkbot and Cobalt.
That's true. I mean, Junkbot's still in the game. It's just...
But never picked.
But
yeah.
But
well, mechs in general are in kind of a bad spot right now, right? In comparison, like the other minion types, especially like dragons and pirates that have come in since, they're just, man, they're so good. Mechs have kind of fallen off.
I did have... Sorry, go ahead, Celissa.
I was just gonna... I don't think Maleficent's that bad of a choice, honestly. I think she's a safe, like, 4th place choice right now. So I think this will improve her. It creates, again, an early game comp because there are such good early game mechs. So you should be able to guarantee a top 4 with her. So that's my opinion. The very good early game mechs. The problem is getting into the late game mechs. It just kind of dies off. And so you have to win fast.
I had a wild game that I played just before we started the call to record this show where I got first place with Maleficent in her current form. And there were Murlocs available in the pool, and I am currently on I'm just sick of Divine Shield Poisonous Murlocs. It's ruining this for me. I'm kind of ready for something to be done about it. That's where my mood is. And one other person was drafting like pure mech. So it was me on Maleficent and someone else going pure mech, and we both murdered all the Murlocs because we both found so many Divine Shields, like the Murlocs couldn't do jack to us. And we ended up, I think, in a 5-round final round versus each other. Before,
oh, man.
Yeah, before it was one of the wildest Battlegrounds games I've had in a long time.
That's awesome.
So, and I even captured it. So if you're watching this clip on YouTube, you might be seeing footage of it right now. Yeah, like Maleficent was the first hero that I really loved in Battlegrounds. Like I just liked mechs. Like Cobalt was the first thing where I just was like, oh, I feel smart. This is broken. This is the broken minion. It made me feel smart, and it made me just want to just constantly pick Maleficent if I could. I think she might still be one of my top like first place finish heroes if I go look at my stats, because I got so many wins with her in the early days of Battlegrounds. So yeah, I'm happy better going back to her original form, but also I share your thoughts, Lissa, that Maleficent wasn't in too bad of a state already. So
she really wasn't that bad. She's just like not as exciting just because they made mechs less exciting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think she's a top 4 hero.
Bring back who?
Bring back the Golem.
Oh,
Who's the Golem?
The piloted Sky Golem. It was my favorite minion.
Oh, the 6/4.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
I did like that card.
Sky Golem was
the
great.
best.
I really like Sky Golem too. But anyway, final hero buff is to Maiev Shadow Song, which I'm really stoked about this one because when Maiev hit the game, I thought the design of her hero power was really cool.
Yes.
But they're changing it so it works exactly as it did before. It still makes it minion dormant and so on and so forth, but it no longer reduces the number of minions you're going to see when refreshing the tavern. And that's huge. It was such a detriment that you're losing out on one reroll.
Big deal. I think she's going to be very good.
Yeah, and then I was playing some games today after this got posted, and I saw Maiev, and I got really excited, and I was like, wait, this isn't live yet.
Yeah, this is tomorrow.
So I'm going to definitely be playing some Maiev this week. But let's get to the minion changes. The tier shuffle is in full effect. Scavenging Hyena is going to tier 1. I would say where it belongs, but I still think you might belong just in the trash with all the other trap minions that send you down losing strategies.
So mean to the hyena. Oh my god.
Every time I take hyena, it just makes me mad. And it's even worse now because with the cannon, there's even more chances for hyena to get sniped immediately in the early game. So
that's true, but being at tier 1, there's going to be more copies, right? So more chances to get golden versions. So
I wanted it to be my punching bag just for a second longer. I'm actually really stoked that this is going to tier 1.
What do you think, Slissa? Is this going to make a big difference to Beast in the early game being able to get hyenas early, or is this still horrible, terrible? Don't pick it.
So the problem with it being tier 1 is it reinforces that if you miss a token, you're kind of screwed early. Because like right now, if you miss a token or you go for a token or rabid tier 1 on your first turn, turn 1. And if you don't get it, you're put at a huge disadvantage for a good part of the game, actually. And this minion makes missing the token worse, because obviously it used to be Ralph, or Rabid. I call him Ralph. So if you miss, getting that turn 1 was awesome. But now, getting that in its place, you're not going to want to pick it as a 2-2. It loses to every 2-3. And it's not a token, so you don't get the economy. So it's worst tier 1 minion possible. It's worse as a tier 1. The tier 1 minions are better than this card. Because you can't pick it turn 1. You can't. It's so bad. You need a token or a death rattle minion. This has to be the worst turn 1 pick. Besides maybe like the 2-1 demon or something.
Would you ever try, like, if you got the little oh god, what's his name, the beast, the little tabby cat guy, if you got that token minion, then would you maybe pick this turn 2 instead of like leveling and maybe go for some like super aggressive early? No.
No, it's always level turn 2. The only time it wasn't level turn 2 is for Rapid Starlisk, which is now tier 2, so you need to get to tier 2.
Yeah,
so it's just like it's really bad for the first 2 turns that this is tier 1, because that's how bad this card is, unfortunately. Like, it's really hard to pick it. I think it's better as a tier 2 minion because there's situations where you actually think it's fine, like the best card there. I don't know. The golden one isn't that bad, but
maybe sometimes a little bit. I'll consider possibly taking it if I'm Rafam on turn 2. That's kind of my thought here.
Rafam may take it, or it'll make Hook Tusk better because they get Alley Cat, and they're staying on 1. Like maybe Hook Tusk will be better, but
well, because of
it needs some help. Come on, it's not good.
Well, because it's basically swapping places with Soralisk, I'm just kind of like laughing at Hook Tusk, like, eat it, Hook Tusk. This is what you deserve, you oppressive, overtuned hero.
Gosh, not getting offered Hook Tusk feels really bad. That's a good hero. You thought Rafam was good. Imagine getting the minion for free.
Yep. Yeah. I had such a string of Hook Tusk games last week too, and I haven't seen Hook Tusk once this week. I'm just like, oh,
what happened to me?
Oh, I have such a weird thing with Hook Tusk, because Hook Tusk is really fun to play, and it's not just because Hook Tusk is busted. Just getting to discover that much and having that much control over like your draft manipulation, that's so much fun. Yeah. But then you go up against a Hook Tusk like turn 3 and you're like, how do you have this board? I hate you. Like, this is unfair.
It's unfair.
Yep. Yeah, I have very conflicting feelings about Hook Tusk because they've made a really fun hero to play, but they also made a really busted hero. So anyway, Rabid Sorreless, basically already talked about it, but it's going up to tier 2 from tier 1, basically swapping places with Hyena.
It makes sense to swap the Hyena down, though, like to make the level amount of beasts.
Yeah, it does. Also, Sorreless gaining a health, going up to 3-2 instead of a 3-1.
Okay.
Probably makes sense with the tier, right?
Yeah.
A 3-1 at tier 2 is kind of weird. Yeah,
because you can, like, before Hook Tusk, I mean, we've all had the low roll Sorreless games where it's just like, I'm sorry, did I end up in the game where they removed the Death Rattle tribe? I didn't know that was an option, but I've had those games. And so you are still taking a risk when you draft Sorreless. So I give it 1 extra health, please and thank you, because I have salty Sorreless games for sure.
Yes. I know that feeling.
Or salty Ralph games, I guess, if we're using Sliss's terminology.
Ralph. Does he look like a Ralph? He's a Ralph guy. I don't know.
I now want to ask Katie what her pet iguana when she was a kid was named. I doubt it was Ralph.
I was going to say, if it was Ralph, that would be crazy.
That would be amazing. It's probably
You're very smart.
Knowing Katie. All right, finally, Monstrous Macaw. I apologize, everyone, especially if you were driving, if I just gave you like fever sweats by mentioning Monstrous Macaw. Is going up to tier 3 from 2 and is not getting any sort of buff like Sorreless did. Still a 3-2. It's exactly the same. It's just going up to tier 3.
I don't know how much that will change this.
No, I feel like this being available, just that extra tier later and have to pay a little bit to get up there will at least slow down Macaw comps, right? Like, because you can't just get it alongside like Shifter. Oh my, Spawn
or Kaboom Bot.
Spawn or Kaboom Bots, or like all the other stuff that's in tier 2 that was making this just absolutely oppressive is, they're still available in tier 2, but not being able to just trigger them for essentially free, I think is really, really good to push this later in the game.
I've never had a success. I've had 1 successful Macaw comp, sadly. For as much as I play, I've had it successful 1 time, and the 1 time I did it, I didn't have any beasts or anything. I was offered a tier 5 minion and took the Goldrin and transitioned into Macaw. Didn't have one until I got offered a Goldrin. I'm like, all right, I have direction now. Full swing around and got a win, but I've never just every time I try and like tempo Macaws on 2 with Death Rattles, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I just don't. For some reason, to me, I don't know if it's a tier issue thing, though. I guess it changes the amount offered. But I don't know. I'm pissed off because I always lose to it, but I can't win with it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
At tier 2, there's 15 copies of each card, and at tier 3, there's 13 copies, so there's 2 fewer Macaws. I'm not sure how big of a difference that's going to make.
Not large difference by statistics, but it's slightly different.
Yeah, it helps a little bit, but with the winning strategy, which is like the Goldrin, like you're gonna still have plenty of time to find your Macaw to have that work. I've been trying very, very hard to get to assemble the Macaw comp.
Have you been successful with it?
No, I have not.
But it's always successful versus you, right?
So here's what it immediately. I've never seen people fall off of like chasing a tribe so fast. I guess the only big tribe injection we've had was dragons before this, so I guess that makes sense. But people were chasing dragons for like 2 weeks. You could draft anything else and do pretty well because everyone else was just fighting over dragons. I feel like by day 3, after the patch last week, everyone just dropped pirates like they were like.
You're not beast, you don't have Macaw.
Yeah, they were just chasing Macaw. Everyone is fighting over the Macaw comp right now, if it's available. So yeah, it's really contested, and I think that's why I'm finding so much success with like more traditional beast comp and mech. For crying out, I've had a lot of non-mech as an option games this past week, but the few I have, mech has been working great for me because no one's drafting it.
Dang.
Yeah.
no one drafts pirates, and it's still being mean to me.
I've only seen a few people get the pirate comp.
I've had some successful pirate comps in some first places, and I can't figure out why sometimes it just is a huge failure and sometimes it's a huge success. I can't figure out the inconsistency of it. So I want to figure it out. I'll try.
Pirates to me is like what I wish how I wish Murlocs worked. Like they kind of have some mid-game strength, and if you assemble everything late game, it can really go off, but without poison. Like but also the mid game can kind of fall flat on its face if you don't find like the proper buff or the proper growing minions.
Yeah.
Kind of stitch that mid game together. So yeah, I need to spend more games like just actively trying to force pirates to just try and experience what the heck that looks like.
I have learned that it's best when they come to you. Can't force
the pirate.
They're real cranky.
They're just free spirits, you know?
Yes.
They don't want to be forced into a war tribe.
I think they're drunk. A lot of rum.
So those are the big changes. Again, when we hit in the game tomorrow, I would expect Macaw to still totally own. But let's actually just talk about the meta since last week, which is what we had originally planned to do today, which was just kind of talk about, hey, how are you liking Battlegrounds since pirates and everything else were added? So I'll throw to you, Celissa, since you're our guest. Like, how have you liked the last week of the new pirate / just Battlegrounds meta in general?
Okay, I love rotating minions. I think it's such a great way to be able to continue to add new minion types and flexibility and different games every time. I think it's really interesting with the way you choose your hero. So like if I'm offered Dancing Daryl, I snap pick it if demons are out, because the demons don't have tokens and they don't have Divine Shield minions, which are like essential in playing Daryl properly. So stuff like that is really interesting. I don't love the meta in sense of where we're at, like with the Rabid Sorrelisk meta. Just like it feels like reminiscent of the old demon meta of like who got Pink Boy and Blue Boy first. You know, and if you didn't, well, you took a lot of damage trying to, so you're screwed. So it's like, if you don't get your Ralphs first, well, too bad you didn't level and you're screwed. Like, it kind of feels like that. So I don't love it, but they're already changing it. They took a long time to change the demon meta, and they changed this one really fast. So I do appreciate that.
Do you think that's going to be a big enough change just to push it to tier 2 to kind of slow people down?
It's abused because you can stay on 1 and start growing. So something similar to Rabid Sorrelisk would be the crowd favorite. Crowd favorite's a 4/4 that grows 1/1 every time you play a battle cry. Mm-hmm. That should be better because you are gaining the battle cry to your minions around you, and you're gaining its stats, just like Rabid Sorrelisk, but Rabid Sorrelisk can do so many turns in advance, so you can just abuse not leveling, which is important to level on curve. But if you can abuse that, it's kind of I don't think it's good for the meta. So I kind of like that it changed, and hopefully that makes everything better, especially like Hook Tusk. Hook Tusk could like insanely abuse it, and the new character Alana could as well. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think hopefully this change is going to be better because I don't love. I don't like this meta.
There was so much announced with just today's patch. I've already forgotten that Alana came in with
Alana today. Came in today.
Yesterday. Not tomorrow with the patch, or yesterday. Yeah. I've been logging games.
I haven't seen her yet.
Same. I've seen her. I played against her.
I played her twice.
How do you like her? Because I've played more than 10 games since yesterday and haven't seen her once.
So I played her twice, and one game there was numerous people going Ralph strats in my lobby, and I think that the Rabbit Sorlisk strats is really good with Alana. But since so many people were doing it, I couldn't capitalize. And then you're behind on leveling, and when you're behind on leveling, you're going to be offered worse minions once you get to the level that you should be on, because those minions are already taken, so the pool's worse. And I don't know. I wonder how she'll be played, because I kind of did the strat where you just like stay on one and roll, and you'll just get a bunch of 1-drops and stuff. But there's no 1-drop to abuse anymore, except for maybe demons. You could do it with demons. Oh
yeah, it could totally bring back the old school like never level demon comp.
Right, yeah, because then there's 2 options that you can get on tier 4 now. When you're leveling to 4, you can get the gold grubber or the blue boy, whatever his name is. No?
Floating
Blue
Watcher?
boy. Yes, that's his real name. So I don't know the real names. I'm really bad at names. But so I'm curious how she'll be played. Today I got to a game where I got to like tier 4 or 5 with her, and I was like so excited because you have so many options and ways that you can kind of go with your minions. But then I faced someone who did like 30 damage or something and killed my dreams. Really, Alex Straza. So dream killers are out there. So I don't know. I'd like to try her more.
It's pretty volatile. I haven't played on my Smurf account this week, and I'm kind of ready to go because it's at a lower MMR. I just want to see if I can experiment a little more and actually experience some of these powerful comps firsthand, because I feel like I'm the bargain bin Battlegrounds player right now, because I'm just drafting everything but what is the popular compositions, because it's what's available.
Right, like you're just taking everything that nobody else wants. I've played so much mechs in the last week. Sometimes
that works, right? You can get triples easier that way, and
yeah,
sometimes it works.
The earliest golden mama bear I've ever seen yesterday, and I still lost to Poisonous Murlocs, so I was like, oh my God, this might be I think it is the luckiest game of Battlegrounds I ever had. And I still came in second. I was super salty about it. But yeah, it's interesting. I like all of the new heroes.
Yes.
I
every time they come out with a new hero, I'm always impressed with how innovative they are.
Yeah. It's like I was talking about Maiev earlier. Like Maiev is a hero that I'm just really interested in, just because the design of the hero power is so unique and fascinating, even though it didn't translate into a high average placement meta hero. It's something that still piques my interest, so I'm glad that they're going back to the well on her. But the new pirate heroes, I've gotten all of them multiple times now, and they're all fun in their own way. Like Crag's probably my least favorite, and I still have a blast playing Crag.
He's fun. Patches is real. I love the changes they made to Patches. Even though Bob trolls me and doesn't offer me any pirates, which is just upsetting. But when you do get offered pirates, he's super fun.
Patches is the one I've seen the least. I have also avoided him one of the 2 times he was offered to me, because previous game.
I love Patches, Garrett. Come on.
The previous game
what I did with Patches is I abused Ralph comp. I stayed down and did the Ralph comp strat, right? And then I leveled to 4, power leveled, to get all the gold grubbers. And then you're pirates, technically, because gold grubbers are pirates.
Then you're pirates, air quotes.
Yeah, you're pirates.
Big time air quotes on that.
That was my first Patches win. I was like, yeah, I did it.
Patches, not a pirate hero, just a gold grubber hero.
Gold grubber. It's one of the best pirates, so I mean, obviously Golden Hogger is just so good.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I don't think we need to say anything about Hook Tusk. I think the reign of Hook Tusk is very well understood by everybody. I'm anxious to see if she's gonna get like moved down a peg or 3 on average placement, with Sorlisk going up to 2. I would imagine it has a fairly noticeable effect on her.
She's really good with Murlocs, though.
Yeah.
Great.
You don't like Murlocs?
They're just so, like, high roll, low roll. Like you're either first or you're last. Like it's like every game with Murlocs is like you're playing Flurgle.
Yeah, that can happen.
I'm in a big pocket of it right now.
They're just inconsistent.
Every time you want Begurgle, not there. Every time you don't need him, whoa,
he's everywhere. Yeah.
So last week, I think I said the Eudora was the only new hero I didn't get a chance to play. I've played quite a few games with Eudora since, and oh man, Eudora's great. I've already kind of sung her virtues when we were talking about the Reno buff, but I could play a lot more Eudora games. It's wonderful, even though there's no strategy. I'm not feeling like some total max IQ player. Because I'm just trying to dig as much as I possibly can.
It does change the curve, Eudora.
Yeah.
But I think you don't have to prioritize gold or pairs as much. You don't have to be a pair gamer with Eudora, which is interesting. And you could be more flexible with your composition. Like today, I got a win with her because I was offered gold and Goldred.
I wonder what did you pair with? I
felt like the game wanted me to go in a direction. And of course, I've had games where I was tier 5 and it gave me an alley cat, and I'm like, all right, that's how it is. That's how, or a pogo. I'm like, all right, that's a 2/2 pogo, because I wasn't smart enough to buy a bunch of other ones prior to this random golden pogo. Darn it.
At least that golden pogo still lets you discover a tier 6 minion.
That was my tier 3 one. I discovered tier 4. I think I discovered a tier 4 gold grubber, so I just kept the pogo on board to grow the gold grubber. That was smart.
There is so much gold grubber in this episode.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with that minion. If you can't tell, I think he's so good.
I haven't given it the honest try. I haven't chased the gold grubber
you're
yet.
Not a gold grubber? I'm a very gold grubber.
That gold.
When you see it grow to 200, you're like, yep, I'm playing this minion more often.
But
so it is golden. It buffs itself. So
I have to ask: is this exclusively in games where Murlocs are not in the draft pool?
Oh no, you always play it. Every time. I've played it in a Murloc comp and kept it. Because when you triple your Murloc, the token one, then your token's golden too. So then you can keep both and grow the gold grubber. And there.
Gross.
Kind of work them together.
Jaws, what about you? Is there any big takeaways for you for the past week in Battlegrounds?
Not really. I mean, there does seem to be a couple of really powerful comps out there, and I'm glad that they are addressing them so quickly, because especially after we had, it felt like 6 or 8 weeks of really no changes to Battlegrounds. Like there was just this huge long lull, and now it seems like they've refocused on the format, which is awesome. So I'm glad that we had the week that we had of these crazy Macaw, Sorrelisk type games, but then, we've had that moment in history. Now we can move on.
Fair.
But yeah, I really like all the heroes. I still haven't had a chance to play Eudora. I finally got a couple of hook tests. But yeah, no. I haven't actually played her yet. I never get offered her. I don't know why.
She's really fun.
I would pay for the Battle Pass Plus if it was guarantee a new hero in your picks or something, because that's the one thing that I really liked about Battlegrounds when it launched, because it was it forced you not to main anyone. You had to kind of learn a whole bunch of different things because you were only offered 3, so you had to kind of make do, and that really made me learn and enjoy, and I had a lot of fun with the kind of different lobbies all the time because I had to choose a different hero. That was all great. But then now it's okay, I've played a lot of these OG heroes so much that I'm but I want the new hotness, and I never get the new hotness. So that's like my only thing right now is that there are still some heroes that are in like the new offerings that I've played against in like every single lobby, but I haven't had a chance to play as. Like, I mean, I rolled a couple of games today and it was like, guess I'm AFK. Like, it's like I probably have 80 games on her and I'm like, all I want to do is play Eudora. Why? So yeah, I'd pay even more money. I would pay another thing to just guarantee that I got offered like one new hero in each of my like pre-lobby hero choices.
Yeah.
That would be such a great perk.
So there's one omission being noted by the community a lot, and it's Arcane Canon in terms of updates.
Yeah.
In this patch, I'm curious about both of your thoughts because I'm not to the point where I'm sick of Arcane Canon yet, and I have a history of getting pretty sick of RNG pretty quickly in both Battlegrounds and Constructed Hearthstone. So I'm kind of curious about your thoughts.
For me with the canon, I feel like I'm just, because we lived through the crazy demon juggler comp days, it's like random juggles killing my stuff that I'm trying to hide behind, behind taunts, protecting for cleave, and all of a sudden, it gets randomly juggled, and that can be super frustrating. And canon obviously falls into that same category. But I feel like it's not nearly as pervasive as some of the other really, really, really powerful strats right now. So I'm not sick of it yet, but I'm a little bit worried if it's going to become like the way to play Battlegrounds after these balance changes.
I don't think it's that good of a card, honestly. Like it's fine for a bit, but it really falls off fast.
Yeah.
So because it falls off fast, I don't think that I care that much about it. I actually keep it too long normally and should be selling it sooner.
That's my thought. It's a bit of it feels like it's a bit of a trap card because the monkey wrench it throws into board positioning and also your drafting if you keep it too long. It's major. You can really hamstring yourself if you're trying to play around your own cannon too much.
Yes. Yeah, because then you need minions to die for it to be successful. But if your minions are dying that fast, that means their health is low, which means that you're weak. And so that doesn't mean that your board's strong. It just has really good early game presence when other people's minions' health are very low. So early game, powerful, but falls off super fast.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that's probably why I really don't like it, because, I mean, much like you talked earlier about, you don't like aggro because what you like is combo. Right. I like late game big bomb. Like Alex Strauss is like my favorite hero in Battlegrounds. Yes. So, I go through these like rounds playing against people who've chosen canon, and then I end up losing like big chunks of health really early on that then make me not able to be as competitive or have as many rounds in the part of the Battlegrounds game that I really enjoy, which is like tier 5 and 6 and like, well, let me see what big crazy things I can do. Like end game Battlegrounds is my favorite part. So, now cannon's in there and I'm like, oh man, but what I want to do is tier up. I don't want to have 7 minions that are just space fillers. Like I want to go up. Like let me get to 5. Let's go. So I think that's why I don't like the Arcane Canon and jugglers comps of the world.
Makes sense.
That's my favorite comp with cannon, is to pair it with juggler in the mid game and then to just get rid of the cannon and go full juggler later on.
Why?
Because you love Puzzle Box and I have to bring balance to the world somehow.
This is what I don't understand. Like, how can you love something that's a juggler comp in Battlegrounds but hate random crazy in standard? Why? Because
Battlegrounds doesn't have an esport, so I can just have fun with it. But Hearthstone does, so Puzzle Box is trash.
Okay.
There we go. Stamp on it. So anyways, stoked to see this hit tomorrow. We'll probably be talking, we'll definitely be talking about how this lands on next week's podcast. But that's going to wrap up the Battleground segment for this week. Let's wrap it up with your emails sent to tacpodcast@gmail.com.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello?
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
As I mentioned, send your emails to techpodcast@gmail.com. If you're a patron, you can just write us directly in the patron Discord and skip the inbox entirely, which I believe, yes, which is exactly what Hachikumo did. This was a Discord message. Hachikumo wrote today saying, I'm listening to a rant about the poor choice of participants in the Battlegrounds Brawl event. The lack of women and the choice of famous yet non-Battlegrounds players seems to annoy people. Since these Battlegrounds events are so rare, how should invites be distributed? This is a weird topic for, I think, anyone who creates content or streams within the Hearthstone space, because I think if we weren't invited, which no one on this program was, we're going to be a little biased, and be like, yo, I would love to get in on that.
Well, but I think that there's definitely an argument for some people who were overlooked that goes beyond just like, I'm a content creator and it would be super nice to be involved, right? Like, I think that there are some people who have medium to large followings on Twitch that also are at, say, like the top of the leaderboards in 2 different regions, like Wobble Wheezy and, you know, Sir Salty, and people who have really built their Twitch careers around playing Battlegrounds, which some of, I think, the criticism of who got invited are that they very much seem to be like the old guard of Hearthstone and who may or may not be Battleground specific players, which doesn't even really seem to make a whole lot of sense from Blizzard's point of view. If you're trying to market Battleground specifically, you should be inviting Battleground specific players so that when people find them through your event, when they then go over to Twitch, they're like, oh, hey, yeah, they're doing the thing that I am following to watch them do. You know, if you enjoy Battlegrounds Brawl and you want to see Twitch streamers playing Battlegrounds, and then you're like, oh, hey, I really liked Tice. And then you go to the stream and you're like, oh, he's playing High Legend Ladder. There's nothing wrong with High Legend Ladder, but I was here for Battlegrounds and it's not what he streams. So I think it's not necessarily the best choice if the whole point of this is to market Battlegrounds.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, so I have a background in marketing. I worked in marketing for a while too. And so there's a couple ways you can think of an event. There's the prospect of gaining new audience, and then there's the prospect of entertaining current audience to keep them. You have to do both things in marketing. You have to gain and you have to keep. So if you want to be gaining new viewers, then obviously you're going to try and invite the most influential people. Doesn't matter who they are. They just need to be the most influential. And if you already have a base, then you should be trying to invite the core of the base to entertain and keep those people interested in what this is. So the problem, I think what people are seeing is that they invited pretty much like the most influential people as they saw it, as opposed to who is the core of Battlegrounds. A lot of the core Battleground streamers who have really built audience based on Battlegrounds are not invited, which is, in my opinion, a huge miss on their part, because there's so many people who are invested in Battlegrounds aren't going to be seeing their favorite Battlegrounds players. And instead seeing people who do not play Battlegrounds, who are just trying to learn, and they're not going to be competitive, and that's a huge miss, in my opinion. Now, if they're focusing on just trying to get new people in, then that's different, and then the list is fine-ish. It's lacking women. But I have, a lot of opinions on it.
Well, and I think that, you know, to speak to your point about inviting influencers and kind of reaching maybe people who aren't familiar with Battlegrounds, but are familiar with these personalities. I think I was listening to Sun Glitters. If you guys don't follow her, go find her. I'll link her Twitter in the show notes. She's awesome. But she made a really, really good point about the crossover in audience with some of these big streamers, particularly the ones that have been around basically since Hearthstone kind of started. So if you're looking at like Trump and Kibler and Firebat, like these guys stream at different times during the day. So there's a really high chance that the people who, you know, start their day watching one will then, you know, just when they go offline, they'll go to the next one. And then, you know, Fireback goes offline, they'll go over to Kibler or whatever. And so you're not necessarily, even though they all have high viewer counts, they might actually be pulling in the same audience. So would there be a benefit to potentially not inviting a couple of those guys and instead using those spots to reach the Battleground community, or even grab other streamers who maybe come from different places or stream at different times of the day or whatever, aren't part of this like OG Hearthstone streamer group that might just have a different audience? Because there seems to be, or there is very likely a big crossover in audiences there.
It's, yeah. That one's kind of, I don't know. Comparing schedules seems weird to me because I feel like, you know, schedules can and do change. And there's, I don't know, I guess unless you're talking to Twitch, it's anecdotal at best, right? You have no way of really confirming if there's a lot of crossover in the community or in those viewers or not. So I think
there's definitely a lot of click. Yeah, you can see the click viewership. There's nothing wrong with it. But a lot of people want to watch each other's friends. So there is definitely crossover. Like Firebat viewers are typically the same viewers as Zalay and Purple. That's the type of click that, and then again, there's nothing wrong with it, but there's just a lot of crossover because they promote each other the most. So people or streamers who promote each other will generally have the same audience.
Yeah. I was just thinking about the schedule thing. It popped into my mind, but yeah, you really kind of laid it out very nicely. So saying about the marketing portion of it, it's like I get that they're just inviting the biggest names, but at that point, I think
it's too late for that. I think that was the first tournament was that, and after that, you know, some of them fell off and never played Battlegrounds again until they're re-invited, and then they start playing again because you want money and you know you're a part of a tournament. But what's going to happen is they're probably going to just not play it again. And so, I don't know. I think at this point, when you're this far into a game and have a huge established community, let's foster the community. You know, and once the community is fostered, then it brings about rivalries. People love rivalries, right? Rivalries are what draws people in to see games. And these can't be fostered when half the people stop playing it. Not really a rivalry anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, and people would love to see the rivalry of some of these of Battlegrounds streamers that weren't invited.
Yeah. Also from a marketing aspect, if you're trying to just bring in new viewers, like why stop at Hearthstone players? Why aren't you going and getting other auto battler streamers of large renown? If you're looking at players who don't typically play Battlegrounds often, if at all.
Right.
It's just, I don't know. It poses some odd questions. It's been quite the topic in the Discord for us. So, I see comments on Reddit being like, well, why would they invite girls if there's no high ranked girls? Well, there's plenty.
Yeah, there are though.
Just
that's
not known about because it's not marketed.
Well, and I think also because they haven't invited like Wobbleweezy or Victor or Sir Salty, there's that argument holds no water, right? That they're, you know, inviting based on rank, because if they were, those guys would have a seat at the table. So, you know, saying that, oh, well, there aren't any good women, that's some bullshit.
Especially when you're inviting like pro circuit players that I've never once seen stream Battlegrounds. Like,
yeah.
What? Yeah, that type of shit drives me crazy.
Oh no, I opened up the swear train.
Oh, PG-13. That's the rule on this show.
Got it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I've got my own.
Delayed.
I've got my own branded one. This is some bullshit.
There you go.
There it is, branded. So, yeah, it's also I don't know. Like, there's so many thoughts here. Like, I really liked the first Battlegrounds Brawl. It was the most, to me, it was like the most watchable Hearthstone event in a really long time. It was just so new and so fresh and so different. I'm surprised it's been this long until we've had another one. Like, I don't know why they don't.
I don't think that was intended. I think COVID happened.
Yeah. And I mean, they're expensive, right? Like, these guys are getting a lot of money just to show up.
Maybe you don't have the price pool so freaking high, and maybe you invite more people and have more frequent events. And I don't buy. I get COVID, but I don't, like, if only this was a game that existed on the internet where people streamed it from the comfort of their own freaking homes. Like,
so part of the enjoyment is seeing them all up there together, right?
Oh, yeah, that is very fair. The production was great.
It's like done in a studio. That's done in a way that, and then you could like, there's a lot that goes behind that scene.
Well, then I'm going to come out and say I needed it. I was really stressed when COVID first broke, and I would have loved a couple extra Battlegrounds brawls to take my mind off of things. So figure it out, Team 5. It's not my problem. I'm not the production crew, but yeah. These are... I don't really have much else to say. I think Slissa and Joss, you guys really hit the nail on the head. And it's always, anything that's invitational is always going to have these types of conversations swirling around it. I mean, just look at when Grandmasters kicked off. Like, God, I think we spent 2 months almost every episode talking about how, well, is it competition if people are just being invited? Like,
spoiler alert, it was not.
Yes. Yes. And then it looked like they were fixing it this year, but Puzzle Box is still around, so you know. The sanctity of the competition is still in question.
We need like a Puzzle Box counter in the chat room, I think. Like every time Garrett mentions Puzzle Box.
Today's episode brought to you by Ralph and Puzzle Box.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jocelyn, who's the second question from?
Our second email comes to us from Torby Flenderson, who says, "Hey guys, I'm new to the Discord. I've been listening to you since March to help me get back into the game since taking a very long break, and it's helped immensely, so thanks for that. My question is, my Battlegrounds rating isn't that high to begin with, but this week I've hit a huge losing streak, including dropping about 500 in my rating since Pirates were introduced. What are your strategies for righting a losing streak, and what do you anticipate the strongest tribes will be in this new meta? Thanks, and by the way, I love the Less Than Jake music you use on the show. I've had to dig out my old CDs to hear it."
Oh, you still have your CDs? That's amazing.
Yeah, I just stream everything now. I don't even know where my CDs are, but so I thought this was a great question for Slissa because your rank is like 1 billion above mine. So if you do go on a losing streak, what is the best way to kind of like break that?
Okay. I am well versed in losing streaks. My highest losing streak was 2.5 thousand.
Wow.
Makes you feel better. I have lost 2.5 thousand. I was like, it was when I was the first going to hit 11,000 and I dropped 2.5 thousand from 11,000. It can be very mentally taxing to like just watch yourself lose and lose and lose, and just so frustrating. I made a Smurf account to kind of test things out on. It can be free to play, obviously. Just make another account, free to play. You play at a lower MMR, but you can kind of test certain things. But a lot of times it's all about just like just keep trying new things, studying what other players are doing and what like that are winning in your lobbies. Watching streamers. I watch streamers all the time to learn like little tiny things. But to me, like it's all about being in the right mental state, because like when you're on a losing streak, you just want to get it back. And sometimes you just kind of go on a detriment, and it can be very mentally taxing. Getting yourself back out there in a good mental state, very important.
it kind of makes me wish that there was a way to like continue to spectate the lobby that you were in past when you're eliminated. Ooh. Because it would be really, really interesting to see if you could just say like, okay, now I'm done. I want to spectate, much like you can when you're in a lobby with a friend, right? Like if you get eliminated and they stay in, you can just spectate their game and you're good to go. So if I could say like, I'd really like to spectate that dude who's in first right now, who's doing a comp that I don't understand, like that would be hugely helpful as a learning tool. And I think really, really interesting. Like I know in other games that I play that are like PvP related, like when I'm playing by myself and my friends aren't waiting for me, I often stick in and see like, oh, who's doing what? Like, why did I lose? Like what's going on? And it would be really interesting to see that in Hearthstone.
Well, there's no casual mode. Like on Ladder, there's a casual mode to test things, and there's no casual mode, and you still can't make your own lobby with friends. So because of that, every time you play does affect your MMR, which a lot of people focus on their MMR because that tells you how good you are. And so it's, I mean, the number of times people ask me, what's your MMR? Why you were just 11K? Why are you 8K? And you're like, obviously I lost. Like, I shouldn't have to explain this every time.
MMR works.
8K is a smaller number, therefore I lost a lot of games. Like, it can be very mentally taxing to explain that over and over again. And then you just...
Let me regale you with the story of the 32 losses that it took to get here.
Yes, it was very exciting.
1, I stayed on Canada for too long. 2, I chased pirates. 3, like, what?
I chased pirates.
Absolutely ridiculous question. I don't...
Yeah. But just, if you don't over-focus your MMR and just focus on trying to play your best game each time. And honestly, like thinking about your game, where did it start to go sour? Was it always sour the whole time? Therefore, you just had an unlucky game? Or was there a turning point? And you can get a lot better at the game just by thinking of when it started to go downhill. It started to go downhill around 9 gold. Well, what did I do at 9 gold? And what did I do after that? Did I just keep rolling for a minion that I wanted and never bought things? Well, there's a problem. Like stuff like that.
Yeah, usually I start actively trying to draft things that I normally wouldn't, or that's when I go on a losing streak, that's when I start turning on streams and just try and get out of my own headspace.
Yeah.
And see how someone else thinks about the game. Because of the drafting environment of it, like you notice patterns, and the more you play, the more times you're going to find yourself in unique situations with what you have on board, what it's offered to you by Bob, and how to make that work. And so, like when I go on a bad losing streak, that's when I start looking outside of my own brain and my own mind.
Right. And ask why. Why did you do this to a streamer? And hopefully they respond with why, and you can learn a lot from it. Why.
Yeah. Also, Jocelyn, thank you for reminding me of something that I have wanted in the game since beta, which is replays in Hearthstone. That would be so rad. Especially for something like that.
And they seemed like they were maybe going down that route when they were like, hey, you can see your last 5 war bands. And I was like, but tell me more. Like, who was I playing against? Like, what were they drafting? Like, why was this so bad or so good? Like, context.
Yeah, hey,
Hearthstone, context.
Blizzard, I'll pay $10 more for the Tavern Pass if I can get replays.
I feel like that's also been a theme of this episode. Is like, Blizzard, I will throw more money at you. Just give me this, this, and this. Like, let's go.
Yeah,
because that's how it works, right? It's super easy.
That's exactly how it works. Yeah, you just throw money at them, and no. Yeah.
And then there's the other part of this question too, which is what do we anticipate to be the strongest tribes in the new meta? So I think we've already kind of seen stuff that's now getting nerfed. What are your predictions for where we're going to go from here in terms of what's going to be powerful in the next few weeks?
I mean, the stuff that's currently powerful for the most part out of the, outside of Sorlisk, really, because that's going to be upheaved a little bit by its tavern tier movement, more for Hooktusk than I think anyone else. I mean, the stuff that's been working is going to continue to work. I think there's a reason that the majority of winning comps in my games in the past week have been Murlocs. Like, they still work, even without things like Mackerel, which
Oh, I miss Mackerel, by the way.
I do too. I
thought it was fair because you can't tempo it. It's not a good tempo minion. You have to have a comp already ready to be built around it, and if you don't, it takes too long to transition to it. Yeah, and it's really bad. If like it's bad to just grab it on 6 for tempo. Like the tempo minions that you need if you miss on what you're looking for, right? If you're looking for Caligos or some Megasaur, then you have to take a tempo minion, which would be Coiler or Imama or something like that. And it was not a tempo minion, so you couldn't just grab it. You couldn't. Like, this is an 8-4.
I think Megasaur is worse.
Good.
I wish Megasaur would just be gone, like instead of Mackerel.
They could change it to the standard minion that gives Divine Shield to Murlocs.
We mentioned that. Yeah, that's come up a lot.
Yeah, the dragon guy. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's already Toxfin, so it's like fine to do that. But
I would think it would go a long way to help that if you couldn't give board-wide poison with a single card, even if it is a tier 6 card.
It's so fun. I think Murlocs is the most narcissistic comp in a way. It's one of those comps that you get mad when you win too fast because there was another Megasaur you froze and you really want to see what that one was going to give you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, darn it, I won too quickly. Like, I really wanted to see what was in that. I wanted them to be Mega Wind Fury, and I wanted them to have 5, 7, 10 plants. I don't know. Like, I just want to see how big you can get them.
Oh my, Celissa, you have given us so many potential episode titles for today, and now I'm going to go with narcissistic Murlocs. Like, jeez, that's good.
Like,
I played bass for narcissistic Murlocs, by the way. That was my garage band in high school. Jeez. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Right? How many times have you felt that way?
Not that often because I always get totally boned by Bob every time I try to go Murlocs. He's like, "Oh, you wanted Bran or Megasaur? The junk you lost to the last 4 games? I'm not giving it to you, friend."
Did you tip Bob? Have you been tipping Bob enough?
I've been throwing dollar bills at my screen as hard as I can, and he's just like, "I think you can win this, friend."
He gets tips in gold.
That's your problem, Garrett.
It's called re-rolling, and that's when I start cussing at Bob because he's just like, "Oh, here's your second Cold Light Seer." On like,
no, see, but then you're still trying to get something out of Bob. To tip him, you just have to leave the gold in your tray at the end of your turn.
Very important.
That's it. You're not leaving enough gold on the table, Garrett.
All right. So what I'm hearing from both of you is that
don't use your economy. Don't do it.
Yeah, your hot battlegrounds tip to win with Murlocs is to float gold.
Yeah.
Yes.
To get Bob on your side.
I'll feel bad for you. He's like, "Oh, they didn't use the gold. Help them out.
They need my help." Exactly. See, that's how you do it.
I love Bob as a character, but the more I draft Murlocs, the more I try to draft Murlocs, the more my cussing at Bob goes up.
The trick to Murlocs is to never go full Murloc until you have Bran. You need to have like other things, so like an Anoia module egg or something. Like you need side pieces to get to your lake. You do.
Please, listen, tell us about your side pieces.
I want to hear about your Murloc side piece.
There's nothing wrong with being a side piece. It's fine. Like it's gonna help you get there. Fine.
So good.
I have no idea what today's title will be. There's too much gold.
Sorry.
Too much gold in this episode. Oh yeah, you're on fire today, Celissa. Well, hopefully, Torby, we've given you something here to pull yourself out of your.
If nothing else, try to maximize your side pieces.
Yep. I also meant to say it pales in comparison to the 2,000 plus you've lost in the past, Lissa. But Torby, I went on a 500 MMR losing streak just this past weekend, so it happens.
It happens a lot with new metas. Yeah.
Yeah. I shot up right at the beginning of the patch because I was just like, I'm not even going to bother with pirates. Everyone's chasing it blindly, and I was doing pretty well. And then the weekend hit, and it was just off a cliff. Everyone figured out Sorlisk meta. There was a Hook Tusk in every game. People were getting lucky with Murlocs. I guess they knew about side pieces. It was, it happens. It happens. So don't let it get you down, Torby. take a break, watch the stream, and then just log more games. Get more experience under your belt. Try drafting different things.
Practice makes better. Doesn't make perfect. None of us are perfect.
I want that on a shirt.
Yeah.
I want that on a shirt. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode of The Angry Chicken. Before we get into the long-winded outro, Slissa, as our guest today, where can everyone find you on the interwebs?
Okay, so I'm on twitch.tv/Slissa. Slissa is very challenging to spell because there are 4 S's, 3 consecutive. SLYSSSA. I'm also all the time on Twitter because I like to tweet, and those are the best places to find me. I also have a YouTube I'm trying to build, so you can follow me on YouTube, SlissaHS. Yeah.
Rad. Well, The Angry Chicken is supported by our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC. Go there if you like the show, if you want to support us. We appreciate the support. You also get perks like access to the Discord and an ad-free version of the show. We also want to thank our Patreon producers, Declan H and Cheesy Bob. Thank you so much for the support, you two. Everything else, the whole back catalog of episodes. If for some reason you want to go back to listen to episode 1, where we were probably just slamming rogue games in the Hearthstone beta, you can do that over at amove.tv. But before we go, Joss, when you're not one of the angriest chickens on the web, where can folks find you?
You can find me over on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays. That's JOCE Plays. Apparently, we all have to spell our names.
Challenging.
Nobody gets Garrett right. They always forget the second T. There's 2 R's and 2 T's in Garrett. Go find me on Twitter at Garrett Art. Everything I do, this show included, is at amove.tv. It's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thank you again, Slissa, for joining us. And until next time, everybody, job's done.
Job's done.
Oh, we didn't warn you ahead of time.
Job's done. Wait, do I say that?
You can say it.
Let's restart the whole thing. We'll start from the beginning.
So you have to bring it back to the beginning.
I love that you want to talk to us for another hour and a half. Like, yes.
We'll do it right the second time.
Promise.
That was great. That was a lot of fun. Slissa, thanks again for coming on. That was a really fun episode.
Thanks so many possible show titles.
Yeah, that was great. The Murloc side piece killed me, man. That was hysterical.
I hope that was fine.
That was great. That was absolutely great.
I'm Murloc him out.
I think my vote is for narcissistic Murlocs for episode title. I think that's my vote. Chat room, thanks for hanging, everybody. My chat kept freezing up on me, and I kept having to refresh it. I don't know what was going on there, so I missed a lot of y'all's comments. Every time I would try popping it out, it would just bork and stop working. So it means I couldn't see you the whole time, everybody. But thanks for hanging. Y'all were great. Gonna bring the stream down now so we can get this posted. See y'all soon.
Bye, guys.